Choices. We make choices all the time. Some are very simple, very easy to make and not too earth-shattering, if you will. Others are quite life-changing. Simple ones. What shall I wear today? What shall I have for breakfast? Wheaties or Raisin Bran? What should we do Sunday afternoon after Mass? Pretty basic things that you might ask yourselves day in and day out. They don't change the world at all. But others are quite changing, quite life-changing. Whom shall I marry? What name shall I give my child? How about Archer and Dutton? When should I retire? Choices all the time, simple ones, life-changing ones. But the choice we should make every single day of our lives is the choice that we heard in the two readings today, the first and third readings. In the first reading, as we heard, Joshua was about to die. He was the successor of Moses. He was actually the one who led the people across the Jordan River. Moses died on the other side of the Jordan River, never actually got into the promised land. But Joshua led them across. They lived there for quite a few years, divided themselves into 12 tribes and a kingdom. And Joshua, as he was about to die, wanted to make sure that they would keep the covenant. So he said, whom are you going to choose to follow? You will follow the God of your ancestors, Yahweh God, the true God, or you can follow the God of the land in which we're living, the God of the Amorites, a pagan God, a false God. Which one? He said, as for me and my house, we're going to serve the Lord. They said, well, we're going to do the same. We're going to choose these pagan gods to disappear. We're going to choose the true God to obey all the time. And Jesus gives the apostles that same choice. Again, you can imagine, when we hear body and blood of Christ, we take it for granted. Many of us are cradle Catholics. It's been part of our Catholic language all our lives. But back then, 2,000 years ago, eating flesh, drinking blood, yuck. That sounds cannibalistic. What does he mean? That's what we heard. Some just left Jesus and said, we can't take this anymore. We thought you were pretty good at teaching us, but this is crossed the line. We can't do that. So they left. So Jesus said, okay, I don't know if any more were there besides the 12 apostles, but just a few stayed. What's your choice? And Peter, often the spokesperson for the 12, we're going to choose you. Maybe we don't understand what eating flesh and drinking blood is all about. But we're going to choose you. You're the only Messiah we ever have met. You're the one. We'll follow you. That same choice is given to us every single day. I'd like to suggest two ways that we might begin our day and end our day. One way for each. At the beginning of the day, when you get up and decide what you're going to wear and what you're going to have for breakfast, also think about what is your life going to be that day. Do you go to work? Do you go to school? Are you retired? You can go shopping, you can clean the house. What are you going to do that day? And whom are you going to see that day? For many of you, it will be your own spouse, or your children, or your parents, or your siblings, people that live right there in that house. How can I make their day a better day? What can I do to serve the people of this particular day? Sunday, August 25th. How can I do that? What am I going to do? At the end of the day, how did I do it? How well did I do? Was I a blessing for everyone I met today, even strangers in the grocery store and traffic? Or was I a curse? Did I make their day or did I ruin their day? You see, that's the choice we have to make. Are we going to follow Jesus? Now, if I were to ask you, do you believe in God? I'm sure every hand would be raised up because you're here. Are you going to stay Catholic? I'm sure every hand would raise your hand and say, yes, I'm going to stay Catholic. You're here. I'm not talking about that choice of changing religions or becoming an atheist, but the daily option to do God's will or not. We're going to pray in the Lord's Prayer in a few minutes and say, thy will be done. But oftentimes in our head, we're thinking, my will be done. I want this to happen. I can do it my way. I know I'm not supposed to gossip about people, but this is such a juicy bit of gossip. I can't wait to tell other people. That's not God's way. That's not God's will. To ruin people's good name or reputation. I know I should do this, but I'm going to do it my way. So every time we don't do what God wants, We choose our own selfish way. So that's the choice before us. This day, this particular Sunday, beginning of a new week, what's going to happen today? Whom are you going to meet today? How will you make their lives better, holier, happier? What can you do? It might mean accepting someone's apology. Maybe they're just aching to be forgiven, and you got to hold them back, let them suffer a while. Can you be big enough to say, I forgive you? It's all right. Can you be big enough to make that apology? You know you're wrong, but we hate to admit we're wrong. We hate to swallow our pride, but maybe I have to say, I'm sorry. That's God's way. Forgiving, offering forgiveness, making an apology. Maybe it's spending time listening to someone that is hurting. They need your shoulder to cry on, to lean on. They need someone to listen to them, to hold them, to embrace them, to wipe away their tears. Oh, I'm too busy. I don't have time for you. Go to someone else. No. That's what it means. Reaching out to others, doing what God would want you to do. We become baptized Christians, as these two children are about to be baptized, so that the rest of our lives we can be Christ-like in all our words and actions. The choice is ours today and every day. Will you choose God? Yes, of course. Will you follow God's will? Let's try it today and always.